Week 3 in college football gave us everything that we were looking for. It had its share of late-game heroics, and in addition, a plethora of lopsided victories that make you question the paycheck that some of these smaller programs receive. Is it really worth the beatdown that they receive on national television, knowing they have absolutely no chance to be competitive? As we recap Week 3 in college football, there are two programs out of the state of Georgia, and their fan bases are extremely happy right now. And the other news, some programs, their head coaches are currently Googling the terms of their buyout clauses. The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets continue to turn heads within the Atlantic Coast Conference as they stun the Clemson Tigers at home. In dominant fashion, they jumped out to an early 13-point lead, and they played very solid on defense. Meanwhile, Dabo Swinney and their quarterback Cade Klubnik struggled mightily on offense as he was only able to muster one offensive touchdown, and he threw a costly interception. Despite Georgia Tech's gritty, hard-nosed play on both sides of the ball and Clemson's wild inconsistencies, they found themselves tied 21 apiece in the final seconds of regulation. Georgia Tech's kicker, Aiden Burr, lined up for a crucial 55-yard field goal in the final seconds of the game, and with nerves of steel, he nailed it from 55 yards out, lifting the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets over their ACC rivals, the Clemson Tigers, 24-21. With Georgia Tech's next three games entailing Temple, Virginia Tech, and Duke, the Yellow Jackets may find themselves in prime position competing for a conference title. In the much-anticipated SEC matchup between the Georgia Bulldogs and the Tennessee Volunteers, both programs had first-year starting quarterbacks in Joey Aguilar of the Tennessee Volunteers and Gunnar Stockton for the Georgia Bulldogs. The experts predicted a defensive struggle from both teams, but what we witnessed was a heavyweight title fight where both programs traded blows in the forms of touchdowns. UCLA transfer and Tennessee quarterback Joey Aguilar threw a shocking 387 yards and 4 touchdowns with 2 interceptions, and Gunnar Stockton of Georgia threw for 307 yards and 2 touchdowns as well. But the difference was in the kicking game, as both teams were tied at 38 apiece in the final seconds of regulation. Tennessee's kicker lined up for a 43-yard field goal, but unfortunately, he pushed it wide right, forcing overtime. In Tennessee's very first offensive possession in overtime, their kicker Max Gilbert was able to redeem himself by nailing a 46-yard field goal. But unfortunately for the Volunteers, the Georgia Bulldogs on the ensuing offensive possession within overtime was able to punch the ball in on the goal line, forcing sudden death as the Georgia Bulldogs walked out of Neyland Stadium with a crucial 44-41 victory. In the primetime matchup in South Bend, Indiana, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish faced off against the Texas A&M Aggies, and that game was as thrilling as advertised. And those fireworks started out early, where Logan Thomas blocked a punt, and it was returned by Trey Johnson for a 20-yard touchdown, putting the Fighting Irish up early within the first quarter. Texas A&M's quarterback Marcel Reed responded immediately with an 86-yard touchdown bomb to receiver Mario Craver, as he had a career day with 7 catches and 207 yards receiving. However, both teams struggled mightily on defense as they both traded touchdowns in a shootout. However, it did appear that Notre Dame was finally gaining momentum as their running back Jeremiah Love scored a 12-yard touchdown in the final minutes of regulation, as Notre Dame was leading 40-34 after Jeremiah Love's 12-yard touchdown. In an unexpected sequence of events, backup quarterback and holder Tyler Buckner fumbled the snap for the extra point, which yielded a failed improvised 2-point conversion attempt. With minutes left to go in regulation and the Aggies having one final possession, quarterback Marcel Reed marched the Aggie offense all the way down to the Notre Dame 11-yard line. The Fighting Irish responded on defense, stonewalling them and forcing a 4th down and 11 situation. With one final play for the Texas A&M Aggies and the game on the line, Marcel Reed hit his tight end in the back of the end zone for a touchdown, who had previously had 0 targets and 0 receptions prior to this stunning touchdown play. The score was now tied at 40 apiece, and it was deathly silent in Notre Dame Stadium as the Texas A&M Aggies lined up for the extra point. Unlike Notre Dame, Randy Bond, Texas A&M's kicker, nailed the extra point, snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. Notre Dame's head coach Marcus Freeman, despite how hard they played that entire game, have yet to find themselves in the win column this season. And that team is going to have to do some serious soul searching if they want to have any chance at the college football playoff. Meanwhile, this victory puts Texas A&M at 3-0 as they enter conference play, and their dual-threat quarterback Marcel Reed plans to give opposing defenses headaches throughout the season. In other notable games, the Alabama Crimson Tide have finally found their rhythm on offense as they scored 28 unanswered points against the Wisconsin Badgers. And wide receiver Ryan Williams has finally had a breakout game since that iconic performance last year against the Georgia Bulldogs, where he had 165 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. And their quarterback Ty Simpson threw for 385 yards with 4 touchdowns and no interceptions. And you know I couldn't leave out the Vanderbilt Commodores as they improved their record to 3-0 as they went on the road to defeat the 11th ranked South Carolina Gamecocks 31-7. The Florida Gators have dropped another game on the road against the LSU Tigers, and the seat of their head coach Billy Napier is hotter than the leather interior of a Toyota Camry in the hot sun of a Florida parking lot. The UCLA Bruins had an epic meltdown in the fourth quarter, allowing 21 points in the final quarter of the game against the New Mexico Lobos, yielding a crushing 31-10 defeat at home. And their polarizing quarterback, Nico Emiliava, only accounted for 1 passing touchdown and a costly interception. With that devastating loss against the New Mexico Lobos, UCLA now drops to 0-3, and their head coach Deshaun Foster might have to make some drastic changes on offense. And the UCLA Bruins booster and name, image, and likeness initiative, they might be considering to sell that Nico Emiliava stock because it's yielding a very poor return on investment. What are your thoughts and opinions from another action-packed week of college football? And what are your predictions for the weeks to come? As we enter conference play, we're going to separate the pretenders from the college football playoff contenders. That's all for today's video. I want you to hit the like and subscribe button and hit that notification bell. And remember, by subscribing, you'll never miss an episode of College Football Legends. Until next time.